Do 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 do. Hello. I know I went a couple minutes early, but I was just so eager to know if it's going to work. And I have no idea what happened. So, hello, hello. Thanks for hanging in there. We've had a lot of, in the 6.5 years we've been doing this, we've definitely had our share of things preventing us going live. And, oh, I'm so sorry. And sometimes I don't have, you know, I can figure it out. This time was kind of mysterious. What I noticed was that my other computer, which is my older computer, and it's much slower, but it still live streams fine. I could live stream on it. And what I was noticing, it was when I would click Google and go to YouTube or YouTube Studio, which is where I like look at chat, it wouldn't load. All of the thumbnails were just spinning. I was like, that's weird. But when I went to that computer, they would load, and I was like, well, that's weird because this computer's slower. And then I could start seeing, like, I would go to like Twitch, I would click videos in YouTube on this computer, and they weren't loading, and then they finally were, but I couldn't upload. So I did nothing, and it fixed, except restart my computer a few times. So anyway, thanks for hanging with me. Oh, hello, Beverly. I was just thinking about you. That's funny. So, yeah, I know this isn't the usual time. We're almost a couple hours late. I know some of you are going to bed soon, but we have Delwyn here, who it's her morning. So it's good for some, better for others at this time. So, and I really want to finish this shirt, but it does seem to really resist me. I love this shirt pattern. I feel like it's gotten such bad juju from me just because clearly couldn't cut it right the first time. And even the second time I did a couple of weird things when I was sewing it. But it's coming along nicely. I kind of wish I would have done contrast top stitching because it looks so flat on screen. In real life it doesn't look so much. Look at my pocket is kind of hoiked up over here. Actually, it's not, it's crooked sewing. It's actually crooked sewing, so hello. Right, I know, this is my new computer. That's the thing, is like this computer, it's kind of bomb-proof. So I don't know why it was doing that. And when I had that successful quick live stream, what I had done was connected my computer to Wi-Fi. And I just thought, you know, I said we have 200 download here. We have 500 download. We have 500 upload and 500 download. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to. I could upload 12 2-hour-long videos simultaneously here. You know what I mean? So anyway, nice to see you guys. I'm sorry I'm not saying all my hellos. What a weird day. But I also did manage, before I knew this was going on, I managed to cut a facing for the hem. And I'll show you guys that later. Because I think I'm going to go the facing route on this one, just as a trial. I did get a really excellent tip from somebody in my comments on the last stream about starching these curves when you're sewing them. And I like that finish, that biased finish on the hem. I feel like it's fiddly to sew at the top, at the vent end. And one side of mine looked a lot better than the other one. It's really clever though, because you bias face the entire hem in one long thing. So I think that's pretty cool. And I love stuff like that. I love, you know me, I love continuous stitching. So yeah, I will, Julie. So, I know that there's going to be a few people that probably are looking for help with that, and they'll stumble upon my stream, cry a little that it's a live stream, and then cry some more when I don't do it that way. But at the same time, I just want to try something else on my own. Hi, Chantel. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Nice to see you. I also see Martina here as well. Hello. We had a rocky start getting started. We're a couple hours late, but we're back here. So I keep feeling something on the, oh, okay. I am like fiddling with something on my pants, and I think I felt like, oh, is it a twig? They're just linen pants. I'm just wearing like linen chanterelles. It's like slub in the, I will stop picking at it because then I'll create a hole. They did, Monica. Oh my, they donate. I did not notice that. I probably wasn't getting that. Just now, I don't have my alerts on. Oh my gosh, people don't need to donate. That's very nice of them. What is it? This? No, I'm in here. It didn't even come across in the chat. Well, shoot dang. Thank you. That was nice. A few minutes ago in this stream. How strange that I missed that. That is crazy. I wonder if I can, yeah. Can I look at viewer activity? There's all kinds of tabs, but I don't click on some of them because they're like shopping, stream health. My stream health says excellent now. Viewer activity, there's like nothing populating. So Maddie was the first. Well, thanks, Maddie. Thanks for the, sorry I missed it. Hi, Janelle, how's it going? Anywho, I'm going to keep it on this happy little stream health tab right now because we love to see excellent, always. Oh, maybe it was a new subscriber. Okay, yeah, cool. That's awesome. You guys get the alert notification. I don't. You get it on the screen. I do have the alert box on. I just don't get the sound. Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, Maddie's like, oh my God, all these people are talking about me. She's probably not even watching the live stream, or they, I don't know. Okay, where are we? Everything's looking okay. All right, so here we are. We have our Pierce shirt, and we have pretty much the body assembled. We have the plackets are ready to go. The tucks, the yoke, of the plackets in the sleeves are done. All this is done. It needs a collar, cuffs, and underarms, and hem. Quite a bit. That's why I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to postpone this, but I also don't want to skip doing it because it's so many things that are all going to go right today, right? So, yeah. All right. And I didn't write in the instructions down on what's next. Do I look them up? Well, I'm not going to do them. Well, yeah, I'm going to just pull them on screen so I sort of try and do them as close as possible. I cleaned up ooh, now I can't find it. Let's see. I cleaned up my pattern folders the other day. I had a lot in the add to binder first, so I put all my PDF files in a folder that says haven't made yet, like new ones. If I haven't made it yet, it goes in there so I can keep track of what I haven't made yet. Not that I buy a lot of patterns. We all know I've bought like less than 3 in the last 2 years, right? Each year. I have another subfolder that says add to binder first because I take a print out of each one and I put it in a binder because it's hard to see all of your patterns in one place if they're not all PDFs. If they're all PDFs, it's great, but if you have print, print only. So I did a little bit of that and cleaned it up. I would love to get all my patterns into thread loop, but I have to admit I am one of the worst, and I have been totally capitalizing on everybody else submitting patterns, and I will wait a few months, try my pile of patterns out, and if they've been added, I add them, and then I put those in my binder. So I really need to toe the line a little bit and add a few patterns myself instead of relying on all the good Samaritans out there doing the hard work. So it's just like a couple hundred, it's just a lot. So yeah. All right. So let's see. We are at the color where I'm looking at step 13. So yeah, let's do that. Right, Sydney? I think if you're someone who has like 20 patterns, and you go to do that and you see that, you know, 12 of them have been added, you're like, I can do 8. But if you're someone like me who has 250 and you go there and you're like, oh, only 40 have been added, I'll wait a little while longer. Some of mine won't be added. They're just older, or just very indie, and I'll add those so that they're represented. And I just realized a few months ago that my patterns are in there. I never even thought about that, which is so funny. So that's really cool. I don't know. I know I can connect myself as the person behind those patterns, but I just haven't done it. So, you know. You do the same, Amy? Yeah. And I love the fabric thing. Is the pattern thing the same now, where you can just go to the link of the pattern and it populates it? Fingers crossed. All right, here we go. We have our collar. The things left in my bin right now are the collar. I never did the little mending patch, and then my cuffs are in here, bias binding, and the facings I just made. And basically for the facings, I can show you what I did now so that you can kind of be ready if you're, I mean, I doubt any of you are here with me right now cutting this out, but I took the pattern piece. Let's put this over here. I have both my monitors in front of me today. Okay, so I took each pattern piece. My yoke is, or I mean my placket is folded back here, but I just left the whole thing, and I cut 2 facings the same size because we'll just trim it to fit at the center front since one will be shorter because of these tucks, right? So I cut a piece of fabric along this edge here, and I went quite a bit up here past the notch right there. And then I peeled off my pattern piece, and then I drew a 1.5 inch line parallel to this edge. And then I went above this notch, probably like 2 inches, just to give myself some space to play with it. And that's all I did. So it's a 1.5 inch, and this is just squared off at the top. This is the back, but this is what it looks like, basically. Looks the same. So this is my piece. The back is wider because of the pleat, right? So this is my facing, just 1.5 inches. Now, the bias hem facing is also a facing, but with bias, you're talking about a straight piece that has to work really hard to curve. And I just don't really like how bulky it is on mine. That linen is a little heavier. It's not heavy. It's actually the perfect weight shirt, but I think maybe the bias facing could have been a lighter weight fabric. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's funny, Aisha. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Import bot. I would love that. I would be adding more patterns. So anyway, that's how I did that. I did it for the front and the back. And then I'm pretty sure these hems are, like the front to the back is a little different. Like the back might be down here. But they'll be the same. So just whatever you cut above here, just give yourself a couple inches and cut the back the same height there. And then notch it. And then, you know, here we'll just cut this length off to match each front and back, okay? Yeah, right, Sydney? Well, Ravelry has that, right? I mean, they already have it. They have it for fabric. Maybe they're working on it. The top raw edge, the easiest thing to do would be to overlock it or zigzag it and then stitch it flat down. But because of that interior curve, it's such a good question, Julie, honestly. Like, you're brilliant for thinking about that already, because turning this edge under like this, it's not going to want to do it because this raw edge is a shorter length than where it has to, you know, if it folded here and then that raw edge is sitting here, that it's not wide enough. You'd have to clip it and get it to lay flat. So we can do that too. We could stay stitch this interior edge, and I just made the 1.5 inch width because I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I want a 1 inch finished facing. So that's another thing, is what you want your finished facing to be plus your seam allowance on either side. That's the width you would cut this. Mine is 1.5 inches. So, and if you don't have fabric, you could use a contrast fabric because maybe you utilize the zero waste of the pattern. Then you would probably need a contrast or something, which would be really cute, honestly. So yeah, we're gonna do collars first though. So that was how I started my facings. My collar's on the fold only because I didn't have to cut this zero waste since I've already cut it once and all my pattern pieces are cut apart. So I could do a collar on the fold. So I'm just looking for my top collar and my under. I have a top. I also made it an under collar. I did so many things. Yeah, serging the raw edge would be great if you have a serger, or zigzag will work, or whatever finishing stitch you like. That would work. I'm going to iron this first since everything's been ironed now. And I've lost that kind of crinkle. Look at how much shorter that is. Holy! There's no way. There's no way it's that short. We're going to do this. Ooh. Ooh, sorry. Let me get my chat going here. Gotta watch my ads. You could bind that edge. You could do a Hong Kong finish. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to check the length of my collar. Just because, oh, and I also decided to stick with, gosh, what's the seam allowance? You know what? I have to say, this is my one huge gripe about this pattern is at no point in this whole process have I known exactly what my seam allowance is for things. And I think for me, the way I sew, I 100% know that, and it helps me. Oh, I'm so much better going this direction. It helps me plan things, how I want to sew it, how I want to finish it. And that's why I keep getting tripped up. All right. This is a little against my nature to have a cut enough, huh? All right, let's see here. My shelf is struggling for, what was that beep? Did you guys hear a beep? Paranoid. So paranoid. I wouldn't mind this collar being a little less depth. I don't really need this mat, I guess. You didn't hear anything? No beep? Okay. We do have a couple of, like, we have a door chime, but that wasn't the sound I heard. You know, like if someone walks in, like a security system. It's very quiet here on Saturdays, though. I'm pretty much the only person here in the whole complex. I probably shouldn't say that, huh? I mean, there's people like around, but they're not like at the office, so. I would like to iron this guy too. And we're gonna iron our neckline. The reason I'm doing this, if you missed it at the beginning, is that I washed my fabric, I didn't iron it, and then I cut it out so that when I go to, you know, live with my shirt and I wash it, it'll be the right size. But along the way, when I'm sewing it, I'm ironing and stuff, so that's making it larger. So I'm just kind of getting everything up to speed. Some of these like little areas have already been sewn, so it won't affect it much, but every little bit helps when you're doing a collar, you know. Hey, Derek. Oh, I'm not near LA, but yeah, thanks for thinking of us, if that's what you're talking about. How are you? Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Nice to see you. We had some stream difficulty, so we just got going. We're just getting going. What's the weather like? Wait, how come you didn't tell us what the weather is like in Scotland? Is it what? Is anyone near? Oh, I'm actually not quite sure about that. Sylvia's nowhere near. I'm kind of thinking friends and relatives, yeah. I've definitely, I don't actually, I'm just going to say this straight from the get-go. I'll mention a little bit about the fire, but I actually don't want to talk about it a whole lot because it has been a little bit intense for me. I don't know why for this particular one has affected me so much, but between seeing how people are talking about the people there, which makes me mad, and seeing like friends, I've had several friends lose homes, people I know who lost homes. My parents grew up there. I think one of them, their home got lost, but it's not like they own it anymore. That's where I grew up, and that's where I went to college. So I don't know. I don't think people really can truly understand. And it's just, I don't know. It's brought back stuff from this fire. So I don't know, the one that happened here. So anyway, I'm not really prepared to talk about that with other people, especially live. So I appreciate the thoughts, but my heart is really just where everybody else is down there. It's like, whew. Okay, so I'm going to sew my front edges at a 1/4 inch seam, but my outer edge at a 1/2 inch seam because, I don't know, it just doesn't look like it wants to match. So my machine's not even on. Maybe that was the curse earlier. My machine was like, you can't stream until you turn me on. It's freezing there. That does sound cold. I keep complaining about how warm my office is, you know, like especially when I'm streaming, because I'm just kind of more amped. My computer's quite a beast too. You could probably hear it. And this is south facing here, so the sun kind of pours on it. But it is winter, but the sun's kind of low. But you know, I was talking about it with my office mate, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't think the heat has kicked on once this winter." And I think he's right. I think it's just this building is just warm. It's insulated. You know? See you, Sydney. Are you taking off? Yeah, you should totally do that. Yeah, you can hear the computer. Yeah, sorry about that. I think I'm going to take this computer home and put my other, I have another computer I'm going to put here. I think it'll be fine for streaming. Because this one's the one I like to edit with. It's the only one I can edit with, let's be honest. It's the one you guys all helped me bought, too. But I love it. I love it. Okay. Trimming these corners. And then going to turn this right side out you know, I was doing this nicer point turn lately, and then all of a sudden I just stopped doing it, and I was really liking it, and now I'm back to like square one. This is fine, but I was kind of liking my other one I was doing, where I was folding the corner down. It's harder on those angled points, but you know, I could still do something. See you, Achu. All right, I'm gonna iron this. Right, Martina? If it's cool in the summer, it is the perfect office. And it's this, all the other rooms are, this one not so much, just because it is south facing. It's understandable. They're kind of high windows, so you feel a little, it feels a little cave-like, you know? Is this camera too bright? It did not look bright earlier. I don't really like that. Just kind of pulling that under collar under. If you don't have an under collar, just do your best, try to get it that to stay under. There you go. My hands are glowing, I know, right? I can do, wait, where is it? That a little better? That's a little better. It's a little more human. Yeah, right? I have this really weird glitch, you've probably heard me mention it, where let's say I decide to adjust the lighting of a camera. It's been going on for like a long time, and it just started last year. As soon as I click the box and open up the settings for the camera, the whole thing dims, but the settings stay the same. So theoretically, if I have to now readjust for that plus whatever I came to adjust for, the settings aren't accurate to what's really happening in the camera. I don't really understand why it's doing that. It's definitely a Streamlabs issue. So I don't know. I've Googled it and no one's complaining about it. And I'm like, okay, great. And it's, to get help for something like that in Streamlabs, it's Discord. So you know how that can be. All right, what kind of top stitch are we doing? What do we like? I'm thinking like maybe 1/4 inch top stitch. Oh wait, I want to play with this little point here because it looks a little, I don't know, push this down a little bit. I'm kind of just shaping it. Not known for my points or top stitching. I know. You know, something kind of funny. I hope I can describe this right. But I know that if I were to look at how I sewed when I first started live streaming, I'd go, you know, mainly because I wasn't sewing in a home sew way at all. And I know that just wasn't very appealing or accessible for some people. On the other hand, I know a lot of people were interested in what I was doing because of the kind of like production techniques I was used to using, right? The interesting thing is that, you know, trying to change some of my sewing habits has made me sew better, you know, because I don't have to, I'm not sewing 50. And I can take some time into a garment or a project that I want to last a long time. This is Funkorama right here. I'm gonna try and like pull on this a little bit and sort of, oh yeah, look at that. I think I can. So anyway, I think my sewing could use a lot of improvement. But the one really funny thing I'm noticing is that I'm starting to make some of my nicer home sew techniques. I'm starting to try, I'm starting, it's not even that I'm starting, I have unconsciously made some of them faster and like I figured out a production fast way to do some of those techniques. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just kind of funny because I would never, ever be the poster child for like a slow sewing movement. And I love the slow sewing movement, but I would not be your gal. And I know that. And I wish I could be that person. I wish I could be taking a sip of my tea in between every seam, but no, that's just not me. You know, so, I think it's really funny that that's my natural inclination. And I don't say that, I don't think my natural inclination is to be as fast as possible. I like being as efficient as possible. And there's a big difference. Sometimes they go well together. This looks funky, and I think I'm just going to live with it. It'll look lived in, you know. Rustic, as we used to say. So, yeah. All right, there's an interesting way that this collar gets sewn. I want to, because I did my other one a little differently, so I just want to try and do it the same way, just in case that helps people. But I think you just, oh no, you actually just fold it back. Ow. Oakley dokley. Oh, binding. At least we get to use some of those bindings since I paid so much for the hem. You know. Okay. So, I think I'm going to press a little bit of binding. It's another thing. Like now that we're kind of got a garment that's been pressed, all the pieces should go into it pressed a little bit. Just so we don't have any weird things happening when it is, I don't want to stretch that though. Did you see me do that? You didn't see anything. Are all you guys still in your Zoom watching the live stream? I know some of you started a Zoom. They do that in the guild. Okay. You think so, Julie? You did? Oh, that's funny. You guys should have stayed. For So Liberated, yeah. I think that I'm getting better at explaining things. That's funny. I think like that has been so great. I'm here to tell you, if you're one of these people that you're like, I'm pretty good at what I do. Yeah, of course there's more for me to learn. Or maybe you're super advanced and you absolutely know how to do things, but you're still scared to take the job, whatever the job is. I am here to tell you that if you already have a pretty good foundation, you're not faking it, right? You actually have that kind of base. Take the job, because this is my experience. Live streaming made me better at something I didn't know how to do very well, which was like live streaming, right? It also has taught me how to use my words better. But also, then a few years have gone by, right? I've only gotten better at most of the time explaining things, and So Liberated has actually catapulted me a little bit more, I feel like. And so I just feel like all these things that I did, I took myself out of my comfort zone. Let's face it, I like being uncomfortable, but at the same time, like, they were daunting and scary things to do. And they made me better. So even if I left streaming and I left Sew Liberated and today, I will have improved, you know? So it's really important. I'm just saying this. I don't know what you all do, but if you're just one of those people that you're just like, but I don't really know how to do this one little element. Maybe it's a program that company uses, or a tech thing, or your device frustrates you. You will figure it out because you have to. And it becomes less about that and more about what your skill is shining through. And that other stuff is second. It really is. You really don't. You don't grow by doing the same comfortable things. Wait, we're doing this like this. Okay, so remember how we pressed our placket here? We're going to fold it back on itself along this fold line right here. See how this is how it's going to be eventually? And this is the right side of the garment here. We're going to fold it right there back on itself, if you can. Mine is kind of in the interfacing, so it's a little stubborn, like this. The collar meets this. Now let's say you wanted to do the collar went to the center here, you lengthened the collar to do that like my other one. You would put that here, under it, right? Yeah, just so you know. Yeah, see, exactly. And it's interesting, like, I don't want to have to learn new tech ever, really, unless it's something I'm really into the end result. I'm one of those people that I have to want the end result, and I'll learn whatever, right? Like live streaming, I had no clue how to do that. I just really liked the vehicle. I liked the vehicle. I had benefited greatly from it, and I just thought, I don't see this being done in sewing, and maybe I can help people. I mean, and I was really naive to think there would be a lot of people who would want to see that. It's not like other live streaming places. Holy, this is so far off. What the heck? Why is this so far off? And then there's times where you fail like this live on camera. So, be prepared for that too. Okay, so if this goes to here, right? Is this one as far off? I was a little worried about it, but thinking I think I can ease this in. Don't really want to. We're gonna cut the stay stitch way down here, and we're gonna ease it in. The crazy thing is, the collar was much longer than my interfacing. Ruffle foot, there we go. Yeah, that's awesome, Janelle. Good luck. I hope you get it. I hope you get it. Yeah, you really can't, and I think just to preach more on this, when one of my very first business I ever had was a freelance drafting, design, grading service company. So I basically helped people get their design to manufacturing. I would get them their foot in the door to a factory, because a factory will not talk to you unless you have professional industry drafted patterns and spec sheets and prototypes, right? You can't just walk in there with your great idea. They're going to be like, see you later. So that's what I did. And when I was getting my business going, my stay stitching doesn't go through this piece here. I said yes to every single job that came my way. And let me tell you, some of those jobs, I was like, oh, please don't say yes to me. I don't want to learn how to do this. But, invariably they probably would, because everyone else had said no to them too. I also, when I worked in the garment industry, at one of the places I worked, which one is this? It's the bottom one. I said yes to all the jobs nobody wanted, like grading if people are either graders or they're not graders. A lot of pattern drafters don't really like doing it, even though they're super mathy and they're really into spatial stuff. But I always thought, everywhere I went, I saw that happen, where I saw everyone kind of shy away from certain tasks. And so I figured, if I always say yes to doing those, then I'll always have work, you know? And when you're really young in an industry of people that are a lot older than you all the time, you're already discounted, right, as being less qualified or less skilled. And so the more helpful I could make myself, then I was more necessary, right? And I just sucked it up and did these tasks nobody else to do. The benefit about doing tasks nobody else wants to do, they often do not know how well of a job you're doing, which is kind of a bad thing. This isn't a pattern error. I've sewn this before. It was fine. It's because I didn't iron my fabric. So I don't know. I feel like that really helped me. And so that eventually I was like, oh, once I knew how to grade, grading is really fun. I really love it. I like math, you know, I don't mind it. And there's a logic to it. And once you learn how to check it, then you're golden. Like, if you can check it and someone else can check your work, then you're fine. And so then it was something on my resume, right? And it would, all the time, I got the job because I knew how to grade. And a lot of the pattern drafters didn't. A lot of the pattern drafters, there just wasn't very many pattern drafters, to be honest. There's a lot of designers. There's not enough pattern drafters, you know. And then there's fewer graders. So anyway, I would just say, like, you may not like that task, but it might pay you back later if you volunteer for it occasionally. But if you truly hate it and everyone else is just like foisting it off on you, don't be that person either. Don't do that. Don't be the one they kick around for that, you know. If you're that necessary, you are necessary. You know what I mean? Like, you are necessary and they need you. So what's happening here? I am pulling on this and it's pulling something else. It's pulling my pleat. I thought I grabbed the right one. So I'm just easing my neckline here. Just let me ramble about junk. It's this one. I thought this was the one I picked. This one right here. This has got to be it. What the heck? It's not, though. It is this one. Oh, I see why. I see why. Because it was stay stitched before the tuck was in. There we go. I can't grab it. I just can't see it. Hi, Christina. Man, I'm just pulling out that little thread there. Hi, Crystal. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. We're just, you know, making it work here. I definitely don't want my neckline to get larger, so cutting a larger collar wouldn't have been a good solution. All right, I think I can do this. I want to sew it from this side, but we have this little turn back section on the other side, which would be nice to be able to see too. So maybe I'll sew just this top edge right here, this fold back, and then I'll flip it and do the other. When I'm easing things, I like that part to be up. Do you see that? What is that? Don't do that. Just come on. Oh my God, what's the seam allowance? Half-inch seam allowance. Shoot, dang. We're gonna try to ease this in at a 1/2 inch. I don't feel confident. I don't feel as confident now. We'll see. You guys want the camera a little lower? I could probably zoom it, but we're just going to yoink it down. That's so straighter than that. I'm being shy about the 1/2 inch. That's funny. Okay. Let's fold this one back on itself as well. Get all these little threads always towards the seam allowance. This placket's more normal width. The other one I had to do a little bit narrower because I stitched down my pocket a little too close to the placket. Okay, so now we're going to stitch this, the shirt side up, and oh, 1/2 inch seam, huh? That's worse, you know? We'll see. Shirt's getting a little heavy too. All right. We also need to do the binding, so maybe I should do that right now all at once. You know? So you're going to just put this little raw edge. Oh, it goes on the other side though. It goes on the collar side. We'll do it afterward. We'll do it afterward. I forgot I went to the inside. Here's my little magnetic pin cushion I made. It's a bite of blueberry pie, but I'm just gonna put it right here so I can put my pins back. We got this. This is gonna be a piece of cake, piece of pie. Why am I sewing both edges together? Because we're going to finish it with binding on the inside neck. I had to like think about that for a second why you're asking that, but I see what you mean. Instead of like leaving like one loose edge of the collar and enclosing it, which you could do that too. And you'd get kind of a less heavy neckline if you wanted to do that. So that is a possibility if you like finishing your necklines like that. You can do that. The thing about that is, let's see, what could be the drawbacks? I have to think about that. I think the drawback, honestly, is that, you know, when your collar is undone here and it flops open, it depends on what you want that to look like sometimes. This is a convertible collar, so it'll do that. This is the tough side over here. Which one was I pulling? This one? Okay. Is anyone else watching Silo? Topic changed. I had to rewatch The Last of Us because I just have to do that periodically. Well, usually I just listen to the podcast. And we just finished Somebody Somewhere, which was so good. And there's a second season of Silo out now. Okay. I have this pin on the other side for the collar that I want to take out right now. Just keep lifting my presser foot to release the tension. Okay, I think we did it. Is that my top stitch line? It is. Okay. Okay. Whew. Oh, you're doing, oh, okay, cool. I started watching Severance, and I did like it, but I have a problem with stories where I don't know what's real And I know like that's the point of that, because I appreciate that. I really appreciate those kinds of stories. And I like the kind of clever twists and turns, but that one was really stressful for me. So, silo is an app, it's apple, isn't it? Apple, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I know it's rare. It's a rarer form of like seeing things. Okay, so now we're going to add a little strip of bias, and then we're going to enclose the neckline. Let's get rid of some of these little threads here. So here's your placket, right? And that's the inside of the garment. So you want to put this bias so that it sort of extends into the placket a little bit. Let's look on my right side of my binding. So you see how here's my fold back on my placket. Just stick that a little bit past the fold edge there. Do I want to do this from the other side so I can see my stitch line? I think I do. I just want to be able to see my stitch line. So we're just going to stick it just into the placket a little bit. I'm not going to pull the binding. I'm just going to make sure the raw edges line up right here, right? Would I always bind this type of collar? No, not necessarily. You need something to finish the edge. Your options are a facing, enclosed, facing and enclosed. It's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that you can't really look at all the decisions on how to sew or cut something as the, I don't want to say the word best, but like I'll just say the best possible path when it's a zero waste pattern, because they did come up with the best possible path, but they also had this other constraint, this really huge constraint, right? They were going for as little waste as possible. So that really changes your options, you know? Adding facings take up a lot of fabric. You know, and this little back neck facing is basically only a tiny little thing. It's not even necessary, by the way. Like, this thing is just basically using fabric because you don't need this at all because of the way we're finishing it. It's just a place to put your, God, I keep finding my hair everywhere. It's just a place to put your, this little piece of fabric. So, all right, so I'm going to clip into my neckline, and I'm going to trim it down as well. This is some really big seam allowance. There's no way this is going to work. There's no way this is going to work, and I knew that. My binding is, I'm too distracted. I'm glad I sewed this in two separate ways, but we need a wider piece of binding now. Maybe we'll do contrast. Do we want contrast though? Sorry. If you cut the binding the width that it was stated in the directions. I hope this designer never watches this live stream series. I think she'd just be like, ugh, another person that does whatever they want. I don't know what they think. The whole time I was doing that, I was like, gosh, 1/2 inch seam allowance on binding. That was my little internal sewing fairy trying to scream at me. Yeah, it could, don't you think? Oh, thanks, Amy. I missed that too. Yeah, I'm not looking at that screen. Welcome, new subscribers. Okay, we're just going to get rid of this little bit here. Get rid of these threads. Okay, I can still see a lot of threads though. Just get rid of some of them. Hope I have enough fabric to make a piece of binding that's wide enough. Oh, actually what I'll do is I'll just sew it with a smaller seam allowance. That's what I did on my original one. I know what to do, I just didn't do it. We got plenty of binding that we're gonna iron again. Yeah, you know, I'm trying to think, like, I have been leaving the top button open of that shirt. And I don't know if I want that contrast. It would be really cute, but I think it would also be really eye-catching. You know, like kind of distracting. So. Okay, so collar side, right? Right? Right side to the inside here. But we're going to do it, we're going to sew it from this side. We're just going to have to try and do it from this side because we're going to do a smaller seam allowance. Wish us luck. I liked that when I was on the other side, I could sort of smooth out my seam a little and make it a little better. I'm still able to do that a little bit though. So I recently had this really funny thing happen that people know in my chat, but it was funny to me. Did I tell you this already? I did a test sew and then I lost it. Oh, no worries, Monica. So I did a test sew, and I was joking that I had had it cut out since like before Thanksgiving, which was like mid-November. Something like that. It was like maybe not mid-November, but late November. But I just couldn't get to it because it just became a busy time of year. We have a birthday that time of year in our family. And I think Michael was traveling. I was doing a lot of holiday sewing, and it wasn't pressing. Like, I knew the test wasn't happening until right now, so I had time, and they were just like, yeah, no worries. And then, the whole company like went on vacation, so I was just sort of like tootling around, like literally sewing one seam every 4 hours, that kind of tootling. Like I had other things going on, and it wasn't a hard sew or anything. I finished it, I snapped a quick picture standing there, and then lost it. Lost the whole thing. And, oh yeah, I could totally do that. Are you MC Crafty or Mick Crafty? Yeah, I could totally do that. And so I finally mentioned it to Michael. I was like, you know, I know this sounds crazy, but I've lost something I just made, and it's not a small item. And I don't know where it went. It's not in the closet. It's not in my sewing area. I looked here, and he was like, "Oh, is it green?" I said, "Yeah." And it was at the dryer. I never wash my makes right after making them, except for certain reasons. And that's what I had done. I had thrown it in the laundry because I was a little worried about the neckline of it. So, okay, and just to be clear, normally I would have sewn this whole thing at a 1/4 inch seam allowance because that's just how I roll with necklines. I'm just a little thrown off. We've had a rough start today with the stream not starting. But yeah, so I found it finally, thankfully. And yeah, I feel so much better because I was kind of like, I didn't want to tell them that I'd lost it, you know. Okay, here we go. Let's double check everything's looking good. Ooh, that was a little low. I actually am going to sew this though. I don't think I got right up to the edge of the fold. It looks like it, but I can still see white past my stitches. So I'm just going to go all the way. Because otherwise you'll get those, you know, like the corner will pull out, you know. Turn. And turn. All right, and now clipping this. Oof. Clipping this, plus clipping it after it's trimmed is way better idea, but I get a little nervous clipping things this thick. Actually, I'm going to do it with the binding below. I'd much rather accidentally cut the binding than the shirt. You know what I mean, jelly beans? So yeah. I'm going to do this for the first couple since I'm so close to that placket. Stop that. Oh my goodness. These right here, these are great. My pair are at home. These were Rayanne's and she left them. I was kind of surprised. I fully expected her to take these with her. And we both liked mine better, but hers have become my favorite. They're also a little sharper than mine, and I just haven't had my scissors sharpened in a while. One of my favorite things to edit in a video is this right here, but when it's thin and I go, the sound of it when it's all sped up is so satisfying when I'm editing. I love it. It's all tick, 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 tick. It's a lot of layers. With the linen, it's just a little much. All right. Gonna press it a little bit. Oh, the other ones. Oh yeah, those things are sharp. If I think there's an intruder, I pick up the tiny ones. I really do. I would want them to see big scissors in my hand, but those were the ones I would protect myself with. Those things are deadly.
I've never had scissors that sharp. They are crazy. But you can't do thicknesses like this because the handles bend. Which if you haven't seen, I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. Because they're not meant for that, and they're not for like leverage like that. Not like the metal ones are. Because see, like this right here, if I were to push really hard, nothing happens. Sometimes, Chantel, I still find though that it needs to spread out, because like I constantly explain to you guys, and I feel bad that I explain this all the time, but when you think about this edge here, right, like this edge when it was cut, this neck edge, straight up, right, this is how it was straight up like this, is a little neckline curve. If you were to measure along that raw edge, and then when you fold this down like this, where this lines up here, and if you were to measure on the shirt at that same spot, it'd be a lot longer. So asking this edge to spread out there, if you don't clip it, it'll look bound up, and you'll get like those, like the neck will do a funneling a little bit, and the funneling isn't really that nice looking. It's not nice looking at all. This is very bulky because of the pleat back here, so I'm just going to trim it down a little bit more. Look at all that. It's crazy thick. All right, this is the easy part. Now we just need to enclose it. And I sort of don't really feel like I need pins, so I'm just going to do a couple at some hallmarks here so that I don't get any torquing. Okay. Yeah. Roast beef sandwich. Yeah, it's, you know, the thing is, Chantel, it's really interesting because when I sew for cashmerette, they don't clip. You know what I mean? And like if they do an armhole with a facing or something, I clip it even in my instructional video because they don't mind if I do stuff like that. But they've never put it in their instructions to clip. And one time I asked them, I don't correct their directions. That is not my job. I do what they tell me to do. But the first few times I would say, oh, did you guys mean to clip here? Like, do you want me to do it? And they were like, oh, yeah, sure, good catch, you know, and that was about it. But because I kept seeing it in their instructions, I just left. I just do it now. And they don't put it in there. And I've seen even Jenny sew armholes without clipping it, and I'm like, I would never be able to pull that off, you know. So, Monica. Oh, that's awesome, MC. Elena, how are you? I was just thinking about you yesterday. I'm having so much trouble. Yeah, clipping is great. It releases the tension. All right, so see. We're going to, actually what we're going to do is, and maybe this is in the instructions, we're going to go up the placket, up to here, turn the corner, and go around the neckline. That's my plan, because I like continuous stitching. Oh, you had the flu. I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you, Monica. I actually am not convinced this color is good on me. After all that, like, I did not want to buy this color, but it is supposed to be one that's supposed to look good on me. And I think partly it's this angle with the background. So maybe if I were in front of that wall, I would think differently. And camera stuff is always weird too. So maybe I'm wrong, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I don't like this. All right, we're just going to go for it. Okay, so I'm going to go, let me make sure I'm not. Do they go, well, they do the, when are they going to do the placket? It looks stitched in that next one. I swear it looks stitched right there. Oh, you know why? Because they probably do it with the hem facing. And I think I will wait too. I think I'm going to wait to do this top stitching right here because I'm going to include it with my placket, which means I want my facing in here. So, sorry. Not washed out? Okay. Oh, no. Wait, you have a bobbin? Oh, like machine quilting. Got it. Okay. All right, so we're going to do the underarm now. So we're going to put this together. What are we doing? What are we doing, fam? French seam? Yeah, we're doing French seam. We're going to do a French seam, and we have a vent. Okay? So when you have a vent like that, you have to do some tricksy sewing. So we're going to, I'm going to do my first pass, which is at my narrower amount. And when we get to that little clip, we're going to swing into the seam all the way to the full amount of the seam. I'm looking for the notch here. So here's that notch, right? And here is this notch right here. It's getting to be a lot of shirt. Get all these pesky threads towards the seam allowance here. How's the camera look? It's okay. It's weird, when I face the window, the lighting really diminishes quality. Yeah, we're going to do French seam because it's a little trickier to do a flat felled seam unless your fabric doesn't have a right and wrong side. Then you can do the flat felled seam into the vent. That's fine. And I have a video for that. Wait, I do, right? You can see fine. Okay, good. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. I can't really tell because the window is in front of me, and so the light's in my eyes. That's why I had switched it to a 90-degree angle. All right. So here we are approaching. Let me kind of orient you. So you see how here is that hem, right? It's got the split. Front is shorter than the back, right? It's got the curved hem. So it's not like a shirt tail hem. A shirt tail hem would be a continuous hem edge going up over the side seam and then down. This doesn't. It goes up and then the other one comes up, and you have to make that juncture there pretty, right? So when you're doing a French seam and you have a vent like this, and this goes for other vents too, that you're not doing this really nice finish on the hem. We're going to come down, so we're at our narrower width for the French seam. So, you know, usually I make a French seam. I use a little less than half of the seam allowance for the first pass, which is the one I'm on right now. And then we're going to go all the way to your full seam allowance along the seam edge here. So if this, let's see if you can see this. So here is the notch. Right? Here is my seam, my full seam allowance, okay? So that little point right there, that juncture, we're going to sew over and meet to that point, okay? Oops. I meant to make that more of a curve, but that's okay. So you see, I call this a gentle J. So we're making like a gentle J there. You see that? All right, and then the next thing we do is we're going to cut to that point, but I'm going to cut at an angle here, like that. Now you have to trim this area right here down a lot. The rest of it you can just trim as usual, but right there at that curve you have to trim a lot. I am going to trim this because it's really messy now after all the handling of sewing the whole shirt. You can see it's only really where it's on a cross grain or a length grain that's going to unravel. This would be so much better with a rotary knife because I'm not going to be able to cut straight doing that. Okay, so let's go over here. And now, so now if you were just hemming this, right, you would have, you know, once you do your last seam, you can just open these up, turn them under, and stitch them down, right? So that's why we leave as much up here as possible because you don't want raw edge going across the top right there. All right, so now we're going to do our best here and press this seam. It'll be a little tricky because of the cut-on sleeve. And there's a little curve right here, so just pull it and press. You can, I don't press my French seams open, but you can. There's nothing wrong with that. I just, I'm lazy, so. I'm efficient. I just put like something in there to help me press this because it was a little hard. Oof, that cutting though. It's pretty all over the place. Let's see, where did I think right here, we're going to trim this a little narrower here. Get under there. All right. Now we're going to turn it right side out. Was it, Julie? Oh. Is it the articles of interest story that talks all about prison uniforms in the United States and how they came about with the colors that they wear? You know how like in cartoons it was always like black and white stripe? And then in, then like currently, you know, like orange is the new black, right? There was orange. I found that story really interesting. It's actually something I had wondered about. I won't spoil it for you. But also the care and attention that went into the uniforms was really interesting too. All right, remember you have this gentle curve here. So poke it out and press it really nice. Okay. That little curve is enabling us to have a French seam that stops in the middle of nowhere like this. See? So it's looking like this, right? There's that raw edge in the cut. All right. See you, Michelle. Sleep well. That does sound nice. Yeah, you might find that interesting, Julie. Definitely American-centric, I remember. Okay, so now we're just enclosing the rest of our French seam. So the rest of your seam allowance, right? All right, now we're approaching that little spot, and now this is the way we're looking at this. Let me draw it on here again. So your seam allowance is like right here, the remaining, right? So you're just going straight to that point. Like that. See that? So you're just going straight to that point and enclosing it. I go like just past the point. There we go. And now you can have a French seam, and then this is your vent right here. So, all right. So I just did that like I was doing a video, and now I have to do the whole other side. Usually I do a little bit of both for each side. Let's see here. That's a lot of shirt. All right, wrong sides together. Right? Yeah, wrong sides together. Okay, making sure. Find that top of your vent opening. All right, and then we're going to do our J over to the full seam line. Angled cut, hugging the J. Trim it close to the curve, just there, and then the rest you can just trim normal. If you don't trim it close, it will show, because when you're sewing your whole seam right here, this right here, this little bit, it has to fit between your seam line, which is right here. I'll draw it in so you can kind of visualize what's happening. All right, so here is your end seam, right? So all of your seam allowance has to fit between this seam line and the white chalk there. And down here where it's really narrow, you've got to be able to fit that in there. And oftentimes this is my spot that, you know, I'll see my thread there. And it's kind of a bummer because you're like, oh, I'm being so fancy. And then you're like, oh, but there's my seam. So anyway. Okay. Trim this down if you need to. Mine definitely is thready. I really need to go. You know, I need to go to the farmer's market with Michael because he says there's a scissor sharpener there. I forgot about that. Okay. Remember, you have that little curve, so pull it apart real hard there. And then just press the seam. Okay. Right side out. No, inside out. I'd be bit bummed if it was right side out right now. Okay, and then iron along the seam. You can't see? Oh! I thought I pushed that button. Maybe it didn't register. I'm sorry. Thanks for telling me. Now I know none of you are watching. Busted. Okay, remember that little curve there, so make sure you get it all on the edge there. Dang, there must be a lag because that was a while ago. I'm already back at my machine. Unclose the seam now. All right, we just go straight down and meet up with that point. I try and go right past it. Did I run out of bobbin thread? I didn't, but I'm about to. Oh, I'm not. Oh, that just sounded really funny. Interesting. Okay. All right. So here we go. Here we have our French seams with the vent there, or the facing. And we could do the, I'm going to do a facing, like I said, not a binding finish. And I need to piece one of my facings together, so you can ignore that since you don't have to do that. It's like this. I need one that goes this way. And one that goes this way. We need a left and a right. It stopped like right above the notch and I just didn't take any chances. I cut it much lower, put the seam below the notch opening so it wouldn't be all bulky right there. That was big brain because I've definitely been like, it'll be fine, I'll deal with it. And then you have the seam right, you know, at the juncture there, and you're trying to do so much, so I just made it much lower. It felt weird cutting it down smaller, but this way it'll be easier to sew. Okay, so this is how I'm thinking, is we're going to sew the side seams of this facing together. And I think this one still needs to be cut down a little bit. I wanted to piece it together. Can't remember. Maybe not. Okay, yeah, okay. So here's one. And here is another. I'm going to sew this right sides together from the notch up. Right there at the seam allowance. Actually, I'm going to do a 1/4 inch because that's what I gave myself for the facing. So here's one. And then we'll do the other one. Man, right and wrong side is underrated. Having them right and wrong sides, very underrated. You know? Okay. So now I think what I need to do is trim down my seam allowance on the hem here so that it's all 1/4 inch. And we'll do this with my rotary mat. Actually, yeah, I mean, if you'll let me, that would be a lot easier. So I'm going to cut down this edge here to a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on that one. We'll just make it easier. Last one. Oh, this was the angle to do it. That was so much easier. Okay, I'm gonna check my placket right now before trimming this side. We're already a little off here at the neck. So let's match the yoke seam here, because we can fix that, hopefully. Measure 3 times. I'm actually going to give these maybe a little tug. Maybe I should iron them both out really well so that we were doing the same thing. But look at that. It just keeps getting worse. Let's iron it real well since this has probably not been ironed yet. And we know it's growing. Although we have ironed this. This is the yoke. Okay. Sometimes you just can't fight it. Holy! I mean, I was already going to cut it 3/8 of an inch off, so that's like an additional 3/8. That's why you check, right? All right. Now we can check our facings. So we need to figure out the length of the facing. I'm going to cut this one to just go inside the placket, kind of like we did the binding. Does it bug you how I do things at the sewing machine? I feel like that would be really frustrating to watch in some ways. I just figure things out here, I guess. I don't know. You just never know what you're going to have when you get there. So sometimes just leaving yourself some options, you know. So here's my center back. And this right here was the seam. So we'll just go a 1/4 inch past that. Okay, good. I'm glad. All right. I think that if you are trying to, like, maybe you're like, oh, this person's doing what I want to do, and you want the formula. I don't really often like it. What if I'm doing it this way? There's not really. I know what I need to get to here, you know, and then I figure it out the rest of the way. That's our front. And then our back. Okay, we can sew these two right sides together. Should I do the serger on the interior curve? Would be a lot easier. Like someone suggested, you could Hong Kong finish this interior edge. It's going to add quite a bit of fabric there, but like say you don't have a serger or zigzag, that's a total possibility. I'm trying to get away with a little less fabric down there. Like that's the reason I'm not a big fan of how I bound it last time. It just got really chunky, you know. I love how I just did that I did that for the, oh yeah, that's right. I did do it for the correct sides. Phew. A little scary. Yeah, it's scary for me too. We always come up with backup plans. That's the that's how I how I think of it, as backup plans. All right, so this one goes on this side here, right? And then we have this to there. I like these. All right, so just gonna somewhat line up these curves because they can get a little bit wonky. We know we want this to end here at the top. This is probably the trickiest part right here, I think. In fact, what'll probably happen is we'll go up to that point, stop, jump over, and go down, because being continuous is really hard because we have this piece of fabric here. That's my experience. All right. And then we can fold this placket back on itself first. And then you put the binding on top, because we want it on the inside, right? I need some water, man. Okay. And then we have this one. Just kind of lightly arranging it. Is it really that off center? Like, give me a break, man. The side seams are kind of my first place I start. And then I look at the center front and center back, right? So my goodness. Get that in there. But basically it's that point to point right there. And you could look at it as two separate seams, right? If you looked at this like these two seam allowances together and then they stop at that point, and then the other side, it's a little bit more, what's the word? It just is functionally how it's lining up, because you can't really hop over the seam allowance when it's unfolded. It has to be folded to go across, and you just sewed on it when it was unfolded. So it's that's why I just say just treat them separately and then make it a separate seam. Break it down, you know. This one seems a little lower, so I'm trying to compensate a little bit. All right, and then again, we're going to fold back our placket here. Like this. And if you have to check, you know, you can pin this at the seam here, right? And then you fold it right side out, and you see how the binding goes on the inside, and then we'd have our hem seam. So this used to confuse me a lot until I thought of it as, oh, well, this is the wrong side of the placket. I wouldn't want my bias on the right side of the placket, and so then it would remind me to put this on the wrong side of the placket. This I don't want to show to the world, just like I don't want this to show to the world. In other words, you wouldn't want to do it like lay it down here and then cover it up. That's what's going to happen when it's done, but to get to that point, you have to do the opposite. Okay, let's sew one. Let's hope my center fronts match. Thoughts and prayers. All right, and then we're approaching this vent here, and we're just looking at just this side, right? And we want to stop at that point. Hopefully, the point on the facing and the point on the shirt. The shirt pretty much rules. So where'd that pen go? I'm gonna get this out of the way. I'm gonna pull this down here, and then I gotta lift up all this shirt. Okay, so what I'm doing is kind of looking, you see how, let's get this out of the way, this side, right? And then there, see there's that little seam allowance, right? So the point is like right here. We want this point on the facing to land right there the best we can. And then it's going to go to the inside, right? And then now let's do this other side. Now this one, we're starting at the vent, which could be good or bad. Depends. All right. There's so much shirt. All right, let's see here. So now we have our, there's that little point, right? And there it is from our very first French seam. And now we sort of have some constraint because of the first seam being sewn. We don't want a hole there, right? But just pull it all out of the way. Pretend like you're only working on this seam right here. This might be better from the shirt side, like this flipped over with the facing underneath. It's just occurring to me that that could be something a little bit better for getting that lined up, because the shirt rules. The facing is kind of secondary. Oh yeah, we didn't check to see if this was actually off or not. Oh, it looks fine now. Darn straight it is. Now you get to have the fun part. A little breather. Okay, here we go again. We have our seam allowance. We separate it out. And then we just put that on there and sew up to the point. Here, let's try it from the shirt side on this one and see if we like it better. Okay, let's see. The curve on the shirt was somehow better and sometimes worse, and somehow worse all at the same time. All right, so now I can really see my point when I sew from the shirt side. So I think that was a good call, because see, look, there it is right there, right? So we just need to separate all this out. Get the seam allowance out of the way. Yeah, I should have done it from this side to start. Okay. All right, so now we have our facing, right? We can turn it to the inside, but let's get rid of some of this bulk right here. I'm trying to decide how much I want to get rid of, because see, look at this weird little juncture, right? Now this gets pressed up, this gets pressed open, this is the seam. You know, it's basically a duplicate of the lower part of the shirt, right, like that. And then we have our facing. So now we still haven't decided what to do about this interior edge. And I feel like I could turn it. I just don't like the idea of clipping it. And if I don't clip it, you can see it'll pull. See how it, because see, look, it's a shorter length right there, right? And the whole idea was to get away from that. I can clip it, but then the clips might make like a doot, 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 you know, like lots of short, straight lines. Let's just do some ironing. I like to just start ironing and see what happens. Oh, I'm connected to my bobbin drawer. I don't know how these things escape. You know? Well, I just got away from binding it, though. I'd rather not. Just because it'd be a lot of fabric down there. But you could. You absolutely could. It would look nice. Okay. We are going to clip our curves here around the curve of the hem. Now, if this was cut narrow enough, yeah, you could get away with not clipping it. It's a little different than the neckline because the neckline is a flatter shape and this is going to itself, like it's like a mirror image, not a mirror image. Interior and exterior are the same. But the problem with cutting it too close is you actually could start seeing some of the seam failing unless you did a really short stitch length on the linen. Like other fabrics would probably do better, like I don't know, like a poplin or something. This is the ASMR when you do this. Oh wait. Let's see if I can do it with these. I love that sound. All right, so this one, we're going to press. All right, I put it upside down to me so I can just press this facing like this, just that seam there. Oh, you know, I tried my snap machine, my cam snap machine with my Waywack pearl snaps and it worked. I will say it was really fiddly, and I realized, gosh, you know, I don't actually know how you do this on a snap machine because I had to hold the snap in place lined up, and that was definitely flawed. And so I was like, okay, I'm definitely doing this wrong. And so when we went to the grocery store yesterday, I went in the middle of the day, which is super rare for me to leave in the middle of the day, but I've been moving some furniture and Michael said he was going to my favorite grocery store, so I wanted to go because that's what I love doing, is going to the grocery store. And I was watching a YouTube video in the car while he went and got himself a coffee on how to do the pearl snaps. And so what I learned is that because my snap probably wasn't the right size, I had to hold it in place. And so when you have the right size snap to your die, it'll just like, you can just go, oh, here, I have my machine right here, right? You can just put the thing up here and your thing down here, your snap down here, and then go clunk, right? But I was having to hold it on top and push down. So, and I realized, like, and one thing interesting about my pearl snap die is that it's a ring snap, and the purl is an extra thing you have to get to do purl snaps, if that makes sense. Did I already press this? I feel like it didn't press that well. So the snap, the ring snap die, I think is one size, but then the one you buy for purl snaps, they only have one size, and it works with the ring snap set, and that's a different set. So the one I got from Waywack, I think, is an 18 millimeter, but I think the Camp Snap one is different. So in other words, it worked, and when I get the snaps that are supposed to go with my die set, it's going to be even better, but these will work. Unlike using my Waywack snaps in my spring snap die, that was less successful because my snap got stuck in the die, the cap did. So, but oh my gosh, I have to tell you, I've done a lot of purl snaps, and the problem with purl snaps is you can crack the purl when you're hammering. But in my opinion, purl snaps are like some of the nicest. I like them a lot. But when you crack them, it sort of takes the niceness away. And if we ever meet in person and I'm wearing one of my shirts, I've put purl snaps on you, and you're looking closely while I'm not looking at you, staring there, you're going to see a cracked purl snap or two. At least with ring snaps, if you make a mistake with those, you can remove those really easily. Well, not really easily, but when you remove those, there's less consequences. As opposed to, say, a spring snap, you have cut a huge hole, huge meaning like a big fat 1/16 or up to an 1/8 inch hole in the fabric to put the post of the snap through. And ring snaps, you might damage the fabric, but you haven't like put a hole through. So there we go. So even though it wasn't like the right thing, I still thought it looked nicer than anything I'd ever done. Because when you just go like this, it's like just so gentle. I'm so excited. And they have black purl snaps that I absolutely want. And I have nothing to put them on, but I want them. I think the black looks really cool. Yeah, and Terry, there's only one size on Camp Snap, so you might have options from Gold Star. That's where you got yours, right? So you might have more options. And I can tell you what size they are. Oh, they're right here. Actually, sitting right here. So here, I have to like get, okay, so the ring snap die is size 16, but the purl cap die is 12 millimeter. But my purl snaps, there's a little drawer here somewhere. Where are they? Oh, maybe I didn't bring the purl snaps in here. I'm pretty sure they're 18 millimeter. So I don't plan on putting purl snaps on this shirt. Oh, but I forgot, I have this right here. I was ready to talk to you guys about this. Here they are. So, where's a good one? Yeah, so look at that, right? This one, I see I had to hold it, and you can tell it. Can you see those prongs? I was off center, holding it on there. Now, another weird thing was that I'm pretty sure they put this one, the male, to the cap, but my instructions have it with the female side to the cap, so it still works, you know, it's like the same exact thing. But, so easy, it just goes, choot. Love it. Okay, that side seemed pressed really nice, by the way. Look at that. Ah, wait, what's this? Huh? What is that? Where did that come from? heck? But look at that. That looks really nice. A little bit off center, but we could fix that. Tell you what, things are out to get you sometimes, Elizabeth. Especially in my studio. I think when you think of yourself a certain way, you are not that way, and it's because it takes more effort for you to be that way. So you think you're that way because you're spending more, you're like, you have to expend effort to do it. So you're like, oh yeah, see, I'm like that. No, you're naturally not whatever way you think you are because you had to put a lot of effort to do it. So I think erroneously, I think I'm a very careful person. If my husband were standing here, he'd probably be laughing out loud, and he's a very quiet guy. Yeah, anyway. I want that seam to go towards the back. Place you here. Just a lot of seam allowance under there. I'm just kind of managing it. I know I'm organized. But you know, it's like sometimes I think, oh, I'm not that organized. But it's because I'm so organized. It's no effort for me to be organized. So that's how I know I'm organized too. That, and I always know where something is. So when I don't know where something is, like a you know, dress or whatever, I'm like, what is happening here? Okay, so how do we think about this? I feel like this linen is gonna let me just look at that. I'm doing it. Let's try. We're gonna just pin it like this. I just don't want this curve to shift. Do we want to pre-press this up here? All right, now I left myself a lot. You wouldn't have to do that. I would probably do it the same width that you plan on, you know, finishing here. I wanted a 1 inch, but you could also do like a little peak here. What do we want? I think we want a little peak, just so we can pay homage to how it was originally designed with the bias facing. So if this were to finish 1 inch, come on, can we get our inch back there? Come on, you know. Something like that. Peek, peek, peek. We like houses and we cannot lie. How often do I make you guys cringe? You know, that's the worst part about getting older, is that you're the same person you always were, but then people are like, oh, you're trying to act young, or you're acting childish. I've always acted like this. Sorry to say. You know, if you weren't watching, I would have eyeballed all that, right? So you're welcome. And thank you for making me do that, because it's going to turn out better. All right, so let's press it a little bit, maybe, so that we get an easier time. I don't have a back stitch right here, so I'm a little bit nervous because I just lopped it off, cutting this little shape. Make you laugh. When I got that one comment saying, "I'm so glad that you don't like zero waste patterns," I was like, oh, I don't think I said that. I don't typically like zero waste pattern, the designs of zero waste patterns. Not like I don't like zero waste patterns, you know, and I feel like that does come off that way, you know. And it just makes me always think about how hard it is to do videos, because I don't consider myself an influencer at all. I don't want that at all. I just want to help people. I just want to help people, and I just want them to question things and be curious and try things, and it's all good, right? You know, like I would never want to be a pattern company. I don't envy anybody that, you know. They can do whatever the heck they want. Like, I am nobody. Like, no one should listen. What, you know, you like it, you do it, you know. So, and I worry, like, some people, they can't take things for, like, with a grain of salt, right? They can't just be like, oh, you know, cool, that person made my pattern. They have opinions. Awesome, so do I. You know, they're just like, oh, well, that wasn't nice. You know, and then I see comments like what you guys say, like what you appreciate, like the snark or whatever, and I think, yeah, I mean, we're just all people. We're here for such a short time, you know. You might as well, like, be honest. I don't know, be honest. I don't like that that's not landing right there at the peak there. I'm going to trim this away. You got to be really careful with angles like this. You do not want to trim it. You'll get yourself in a pickle real quick. So you see how this angle, it lets this hang out? Don't trim that off. I'll tell you what, you trim that off right here, you have this little raw edge right there, and good luck. Done that so many times. So, yeah. Alright, so let's try and... We could do this, like, all the way around in one continuous thing. So excited. This kind of thing makes me very happy. Let's see if we can do it. Let's check our bobbin. I just don't think, like, unless you're saying something like, oh my God, it's awesome, it's perfect, I love it. If it's anything else than that, it's really hard to have a thick skin around. And I totally get it. I could never handle hearing, I could handle it, I could handle some, but I couldn't handle frequently hearing criticism about the way I do something. I totally get it. Like, we are human people, you know? Alright, we're just going to raw dog this here. Oops. The only thing I don't like about this is that the bobbin... Did I not just sew first? Wow. Wow, Saremy. Wow. I didn't... Oh, okay. Well, we got lucky. I don't like that my bobbin is... Oh, we should have understitched. No, it's okay. Maybe we could top stitch on the right side. Yeah, and I don't tend to get criticism, you know. I'm like, bring it on, you know. Like, I like the conversation. When it's a conversation, I really like it. Like, I would love to be interviewed with other people so we can hear lots of viewpoints about zero waste patterns or whatever, you know, or just anything. I crave those kinds of conversations constantly. I would love to talk about that stuff because I find it interesting, and there's a lot of ways to look at it, and there's a lot of viewpoints that are valid. So yeah, I don't know. But if it's just a love fest between people and there's no like thoughtfulness or criticism, I'm not down for that. Because I can definitely criticize myself and poke fun at myself. Like, I'm totally fine with that. I know where some of the flaws are, and I agree with them, you know? It doesn't mean that I'm going to change them or they're going to change, because sometimes that's kind of like impossible or not who I am, you know? So I think about patterns differently. I know I do. Ooh, this isn't symmetrical. This isn't symmetrical. Oh yeah, I've definitely made that. I still make that mistake, Rose. I still sometimes make that mistake. And then I'm like, what could really happen? Like, I'm getting rid of this. Like, and as soon as you do it, you're like, oh yeah, that's what can happen, you know? Yeah, exactly. On my channel, like I said, I hardly ever get criticism. And sometimes it's totally valid, you know, like I like it. I like hearing it. I don't like it when people clearly didn't finish watching the live stream or the video, and they just want to comment so that someone knows they thought of the answer before me. You can tell, and it's like, okay, yeah, but I figured that out. A classic example is when I opened the buttonhole attachment, the EB1, and remember that symbol for the feed dog being lower or up or low, down or engaged or not engaged. Like, you guys were all like shouting at me, and I was like, but that's what it is. That was such a good example of just a drawing not speaking to me the way it speaks to 85% of other people, you know? And I still to this day get people commenting on that video, no, it's the opposite, you know? And I'm like, do you think a year, I'm still waiting for the answer after a year? Do you also not see there's still an hour more of live stream after your comment? Yeah, exactly, Monica. Right? Exactly. Everyone's an expert. Exactly. I've recently had someone say, I can't remember what the video was, and you can't go and look for the comment because I got rid of it, but they said, God, what was it? It was something it was a how-to video about how I was sewing something, and they were like, oh, you should try this method, it's way better. And I was like, and they had the audacity to link someone else's channel in my comments. But I went and looked at the video, and I was like, are you kidding me? That's a factory in Vietnam with a special machine. Like, sure, I would love to do that. And I just find that kind of, like, the way the whole comment was worded was just clueless. You know? But then, like, the other day I had someone say, you know, I heard on someone else's channel or blog or whatever that you should, you know, top stitch the elastic down so it doesn't twist, and it was on the video about serging the elastic to the waist. That was such a good comment because, like, yeah, you should do that, but in this case, the elastic's not loose in the casing. So that person wasn't, like, trying to tell me how to do it better. they were genuinely like, this is what I've heard though, can I do that, right? And I've seen enough comments to know that maybe they hadn't done this before, so they didn't know. And I just said, oh yeah, you know, that you can do that, but because we're top stitching through all layers, you don't have to worry about that at all here. And they were like, oh, okay, got it, you know, like that's fine. I like that kind of challenge and conversation. Or you could do this. Yeah, you're right, you could. Totally, you could totally do that. Whatever it is, you know. Like, there's a lot of ways to do it. There's not just one way. I like a conversation. I don't like someone saying I'm wrong without saying, why'd you do it that way? You know? Like, let's talk about it. Okay, that one looks a little more symmetrical. We're getting better. Too bad we don't have a third to get right. If you really want to make sure that this is like perfectly parallel to the hem and the same distance all the way around, which of course is the definition of parallel, you should pin it and measure it first, not do this. This is my last curve though, and it's actually been pretty good. Going one direction is easier than going the other direction. Adina, how's it going? I think that people don't understand that they should be thankful to have a scrapbook at all. I need to get some tips from you guys, I think, this year, because I would like to surprise Cricut with something kind of like that this year. You know, if this is the tragedy of our kids' generation, is that they grew up in the first era where we weren't printing all their photos and documenting that way. So you can see the year I got a phone that took photos, because all of our photos, our print photos, stopped, you know? Okay, I'm approaching the placket. I'm just kind of shoving in that facing in there so it stays. So this is how it's looking. I had a little bit of easing right there. But I think this is looking pretty good. Not bad. I could have done better, but I kind of like how much lighter this is. The other one was really bound, you know. So anyway, she's been kind of asking a little bit about that. Like, we don't have any photos up. We do have photos up, I just want you to know. But we've also moved a few times, so it has gotten hard. She also isn't probably going to remember or realize how much of the years she was growing that we stopped, after we stopped taking photos, she wasn't interested in having her photograph taken, you know. So there's that. We still have some. All right, so we're getting up to the placket here, and we're going to now go around the neckline. Yeah, exactly, Terry. Oh, that's right, Monica. That's right. You're like, I imagine, like, if you were a single mom and you were Rory Gilmore's mom, you would absolutely be Lorelai, waking her up at 3 in the morning and telling her the whole birth story every year on her birthday. Okay, I should have. Why have I just forgotten to understitch lately? I'm sorry. You're knitting today, making a hazard test. Oh, nice. Ooh, you got a lot of vests. Where do you do that, Amy? Where do you send your photos? Because I've done that too, but it's getting fewer and fewer places. The irony lately like of thinking about all this, and then I got a message from Snapfish saying, hey, if you don't log into your account and place an order, we're going to archive your account. Oh, I didn't even know there was a thing for Amazon photos. You love that series, Julie? Aw, this is how I know how sentimental you are. Try to hide it. We know. It's a little thick right here with that tuck. We're going for even. We're not probably getting it. We're going for it. I'm going to tuck this facing in here because, you know, the facing didn't get stay stitched with the neck. So it kind of is been a problem ever since. It's loose and sagging down. Sewing this shirt has been completely different than sewing the other one. Holy. Okay, see, I've used Walmart and Walgreens as well. Usually I try to go to Walgreens and then I accidentally pick Walmart because I see the WAL and pick the wrong one. So I've had to do both. For like photo cards, I've done that. Ooh, Elena, we listen and we don't judge. Okay, I'm kind of spreading this out. Like, can you see the gentle puckers right here? Remember when I eased it? So I don't want those puckers to be in that. So I may have thought of this too late, but I'm just sort of spreading it out and putting the neckline into the shape that the neckline actually is. So. You print with Google Photo. They have a photo thing too. Yeah, right, Monica? I think, like, what if I was on a sewing, I don't know, game show thing? Oh, I didn't change my placket. I didn't make sure my placket measured the right length at the top. Shoot. I think that one's shorter. Of the first 4 years, it's funny, Adina. Well, I think too that when Cricket says things like that, I really think it's unconscious that she forgets that, you know, when she goes to her grandma's house, there aren't photos everywhere because of the fire, you know? And my mom did get, like, she saved all of her photos. Like, everything on the walls died, you know, with the fire, but she saved things on a hard drive. Like, she does have that, but it's like getting all that printed again, you know, is another thing. So, all right, so we do have this pocket kind of, I think this is one thing I might change is I will unstitch this pocket here and just, you know, make it more parallel to the placket, you know, so, but let's check it out. See, we have a nice continuous, this is where I started though, so it does look a little heavy right here. I would have, if I could do this in hindsight, I would have started at the center back, right here where it didn't matter to have your back stitch, right? And then go all the way around, but let's check it out. Oh, we're not done, we have cuffs. Holy moly, we still have cuffs. All right, let's see how our neckline looks. We do have the continuous stitching there. See how it's ruffling there? It'll be fine when the collar's down, and when it's washed a couple times, that will go away for sure. It's looking cute though. Can we fake the placket? Oh, I think we can. I still don't like the gap though, I will admit. I'm putting up with it. We might be able to make that work, you know. This does look very utilitarian on camera. right, so we just have our cuffs now. We also have this little mending patch I never sewed, so we could do that too, because that goes over the center back seam here. I'm just gonna, I sort of want it to be like, I don't know, how big do I want that thing? Not that big. Maybe what I'll do, no. I'm just going to sew the perimeter. All right. And then I think I'll press it. I wonder if you could go like this, press along the corner, and then press up like this. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna try this, I don't know. Think that'll work? Maybe I'm just creating a different thing to deal with. I was just trying to get those, you know, like those folds to not be poking out. So now we can fold here. Oh, I kind of like this. This is, and then it's less bulky there at the corner. It's overlapping right there. It's probably my seam, my stellar even seam allowance, huh? But what? Pinking, well, I could, yeah. Definitely. I don't have any raw edges left except my cuff now. We're on the home stretch. This is the seam. I always have to say this out loud with the flat fell seam. Because I want it to look centered on, maybe actually with a flat fell we will center it over the stitching like that. I think that'll look more centered, you know. A mending. So Martina, this was a zero waste pattern, and in order to use up all the pieces of scrap fabric, there is a little spot. There's this little piece of fabric you attach to the back here. So like say something happens to your shirt and you need a little piece of fabric to mend it. That's all it is. I didn't put one on my other one, but I kind of like the look of it. So I'm going to add it to this one. Mine isn't cut or sewn the way theirs was because I have already made this, so my pattern isn't technically zero waste now. I just cut the pattern piece out, or something similar to it, you know. So it's just an opportunity to carry a bit of fabric with it that might save you later to patch a hole. I really don't have much of this fabric left. I think that I would 100% actually access this if I needed it. But it'll definitely wear the fabric in a way on the right side that will show. I don't know if I put that in the right spot. I feel like it's a lot lower. Oh well. It's my duck tail. I wish I would have held my tails right then. There we go. Let's get rid of this Okay, cuffs. So, this is one thing I'm definitely going to reduce the width of. This is just too wide for me. Too wide. I think, what do I want? I think a 2-inch cuff would be fine. So let's just trim off a 1/2 inch on each side. So basically 1 inch off one long side. All right. Yeah, like an extra button. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly true, Amy. That's actually a really good point. Because the fabric will then fade the same. Yeah, I think 2 inches is plenty. It's going to look wider because like this fabric isn't ironed yet soon, but you know. All right. All right, there we go. Oh, we need to make sure this isn't too big as well. Holy. Let's get rid of that. I think a fashion cuff at 4 inches sounds about right, you know. This just feels pretty heavy at the bottom of the shirt. Like it's something I notice, probably because the linen is also pretty heavy. Like just linen in general, you know. I have not had to put this mat here so many times but today, but okay. All right. What's that? I'm going to fold this in half and see where the crease line is. God, my cutting was just terrible. The linen and rayon blend was not my strong suit, was it? Look at that. Straighten it out a little bit. We're still here. We got a 2-hour late start. Yay, your craft fair went good. I'm so glad. Did you get my, oh, you probably didn't get the things I sent you in time, huh? Oh no. I was a little worried about that. Yeah, I had some internet issues, weirdly. So we got almost a 2-hour late start. We're just on the cuffs now. Yeah, she gets to offload them. I didn't send her more than I told her I would, though. I was really tempted to send her 4 quickies and like 10 Notions cases, and then I was like, what if these don't get turn time and they don't sell? Oh yeah, we talked a little bit about the zero waste thing, Adina. Yeah, I get it. I have mixed feelings about it too. Like I think, I mean, I don't know if we really need to talk about it again, but I appreciate the like reasoning behind it. I don't think home sewers are the problem, and as far as like waste goes, we can do better, but we don't. I don't know. A lot of the designs I see, I don't really like. They're just not my style, you know? And they take so much fabric that I just don't get the whole zero waste thing when it's 7 yards of fabric, you know? So there's a lot of things to think about. But as someone who knows how to draft patterns, loves puzzles, loves spatial stuff, I 1,000,000% get the enjoyment of wanting to do it as a challenge. I like that a lot. So I get that. Oops, what am I doing? You know? I don't think I could do my whole brand around it. Like it's hard. You don't see them come up with a lot of patterns. You know, they're not coming out with like a whole collection every year. So how would you even sustain your business? See, Aisha? Oh, interesting, Adina. Well, some of the linens, don't you feel like they're just kind of heavy? At least I do. All right, let me pay attention to what I'm doing here. So I personally like to sew a cuff from the inside of the garment to the outside of the garment. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm putting, and I'm just like failing to get this in here. It's acting all weird. Okay, so there we go. So we have, this is the, it's not even the correct side of the cuff. You want to put your inner cuff, which for me is the uninterfaced side, but the right side of the cuff, to the inside of the garment if you want to sew it this way. I find this way a lot easier. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it this way sometimes. Sometimes there's a reason, but I will definitely die on this hill, you know. So I'm just pinning this way. I don't have my pleats in yet because I'm just getting the cuff started, and I'm going to pleat it to fit. Yeah, I like that, Adina. I love that. Yeah, I'm thinking about making some car seat covers in flannel with my flannel scraps. I'm really excited about the car seat covers, so I can already tell everybody else is going to be like, yeah, that's weird. But I'm really excited about it. All right, so here is the right side. This thing just keeps getting hung up in there. All right, here's the right side of my sleeve. So I like my pleats to be spaced. What is this? Why does it keep doing that? Is it just the interface? I like my pleats to be spaced kind of the same distance between the edge here and each other. Is there really only one? Is there? I thought there were two. I'm going to put 2. I like the way 2 looks. Let's try that. There are notches. They just looked really close to this. Like, see, there's the notch. That seems really far away. I like it to look like, almost like this edge here where the placket is a third pleat. You see what I mean? I've never said that out loud, I think, that that's how I like it, but that's why I do it this way. The pleats. See, like that? See how it looks like 3 pleats, right? I love the way that looks. And I always thought that's how they were designed to do. Like in even design school. Maybe they were. And I'm just like internalized that to like it. I don't know. But if they didn't teach me how to do it that way. I always assumed that's why it was done that way, because it looks that way. Yeah, I don't like the fuss of it. Exactly. You know you're getting the right circumference because you have the cuff as a deciding factor. As long as your cuffs are cut the same as one another, you're okay. All right. I also leave that, I don't, what don't I do? I don't, there's one thing here I don't do. I can't remember what it is. Oh, well, it's coming. Okay. So now I fold this right sides together. I don't fold this edge up. I leave it unfolded. And it's helpful later if you do. And I sew the ends. You could finally tell me wait, you told me she wants me to teach her how to sew. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. I love that. Cricket knows how to sew, but I didn't teach her. She definitely hung out with me in my shop a lot, but she learned in 4-H. And one time I caught her sewing for her friends. This was in high school, and they were in her room, and she was like, Mom, where's the something? I don't know what it was. I was like, why do you need that? It was a sewing related thing. She's like, I just do. Like, she didn't want me really to know. And she repaired their backpacks and their clothes, and I was like, yeah. I've told lots of young people, I was like, you know, if you know how to sew a little bit, well, I'm turning it now right side out. If you know how to sew a little bit and you go into college, you can get some very decent spending money by being the person in your dorm that can repair things. Because I financed lots of things at that age by being that person. Hemming, patches, whatever, you know. You can even ask to be paid not in cash. Like I always asked for jars of juice when I was at the farm. Okay, so this is the right side of my garment, right? Wait. I'm so confused by this. I better make sure I'm on the right side and the wrong. Okay, yeah, we are. Okay. Phew. I was going by this underarm seam being the underarm, and it is. All right, so here we are. So now my other little trick I like to do is I open this up. So here we have the cuff like this, right? That's the under or the top placket. So I'm going to open it up like this, and I press the seam allowance toward the top cuff of this vertical seam here, and I wrap around like that and then fold it like that. And the reason I do that is that if you've already pre-sewn this like this, like when you sewed the ends, and then you go like this is what happens. You get these little edges to pop out, or what'll happen too is it'll be like this, they'll be mismatched. So I leave it loose so I have positioning, and then I will wrap it around like this. Like this. This is in that video, so if I'm going too fast or talking too much. So what's the first project going to be, Adina? Or is she learning on her own, or are you teaching her, or like... Oops. All right, I'm on the right side of the garment. I don't know about you, but I am. I'm gonna pull this out a little bit. So make sure we cover that stitching. I sometimes when I do how-to videos for people and they have you pre-iron this edge, I actually think that can be kind of helpful because then I have a guide to put these pins here. My favorite kind of cuff has a seam along this edge though. I don't like the fold there. I like a seam. I'm just spreading it apart since I didn't press it. All right, and now I'm going to turn this inside out. It'll be easier. I'm so glad the internet stayed on. That was so weird. I don't even know how to fix what happened. I'm going to start here at this seam and turn under. I put that line of pins there so that I don't accidentally pull too far, right? Over rotate the cuff. That's why I like a seam there. I think it's just more stable. That's the kind of thing you learn in college between budget and not in budget. Having a seam to some people seems like it's more budget when it's actually more expensive because you have to cut another piece and seam another piece and keep track of another piece. It just depends. In some cases, it'll be depending on like what they're trying to accomplish, it might be better to have it on the fold. Like this case, you know, this was a zero waste pattern. That was probably the best way to utilize the fabric because, you know, when you have a seam, why isn't that working there? You inherently will use more fabric overall, like per square inch, because you've had to add seam allowance to two edges, but at least you have smaller pieces to deal with. Or what if you're doing pattern matching, you know, then two pieces is better. It just depends. There's a lot of reasons. I don't like how crooked this looks right here, but it looks fine on this side, and on this side it looks super crooked. It's weird. Is the Fairfield two pieces? Oh, the Fairfield's two pieces because it has the curve, right? It has the, like right here is a curve, which is weird. I do the curve, but it's weird. I always forget about that curve, and then I'm like, oh yeah, the curve. Now I have to make sure I'm sewing this symmetrically. Thanks. Yeah, and I like the, and I said two-piece cuff. Yeah, yeah, I said sleeve, but yeah, you said cuff, exactly. But you can prefer whatever you like, you know? Doesn't, like I said, there's a lot of ways, right ways to do it. I'm just looking at my cuff and making sure it's the same width all along the edge here. That's why I'm fiddling with it now, because it looks a little not parallel. And I think maybe it's a grain issue. I don't know. All right, I'm going to start here at this seam and go all the way around the cuff. She said thanks, but this is boring. I think you have to have a goal, you know? All right, so we're sewing. I'm sewing on the right side of the garment, so I want to make sure I cover up that seam there. And lighting is a struggle, huh? This is what the world will see. I didn't get very close to the edge there, unfortunately. It looks okay, though. We don't want to be too close, but we want to be close enough that we can't lift up that edge. I'm just pulling the interior cuff under a little bit better. Not good enough, but it's okay. What's my uptime? Where do I look for that? Oh, okay. I'm going to go a little closer. Here we go. Yeah, I still think that looks wiggly. Sometimes the pins don't help. That looks better. A little bit. Okay, one cuff. This is the inside. So sometimes I landed on the cuff, sometimes I didn't. I do better funnily when I'm not like filming and stuff, which is kind of funny. Like right there I got stitched in the ditch perfectly, but you can see it caught it there. But it doesn't matter, that's already, we already sewed that, and this is what the right side looks like, so it's, you know, it looks better. All right, so do you guys want to see the other cuff, or like, I mean, it's been a long stream for you guys, so. It doesn't take me too long to put them on. Okay, this is the inside. You're here for it? Yeah, because I'm thinking I'm going to do snaps on this, and I was thinking about putting the snaps on during the stream. I'm only worried about the snaps I have, you know? Probably need to get a piece of gum. Oh, here we go. I moved my little table out of here yesterday, so that was where I had a drawer. We've lasted this long. I know, like, you guys were ready at 11. All right, if this is the seam and this is the back, wait, that's the yoke. Okay, so it goes this way. Okay. The mix of French and flat seams is so funny. the live chat in the guild last night was teasing me that this is going to be my Donnie shirt. So for those of you that don't know, they're obsessed with the Donnie shirt, and they've all made like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. They're like, this is going to be your Donnie, Saremy. I was thinking, I almost got my iPad out to play around with this with you guys today, but I was thinking a short sleeved version with no collar, but raising the neck up quite a bit. I think that'd be cute. Or making the neck more rounded rather than like a deeper V, you know? Who's Donnie? Yeah, right. I think Monica just finished her 7th. Let's see how this looks to the other one. Oh, that's what's going on. I was like, why does this look weird? Okay. Can back this one off a tiny bit. You've made 8 Fairfields? Oh, that's awesome. I hope they've seen some of them. That's awesome. It's a great shirt. Oh, this one can be a little bit bigger. I think I've made that many, but they've been for, like, the total would be for a few different people. So not 8 for one person. And then my husband loves that Sanders I made him. But it's the first time that I've fit a shirt to him. I don't like that spacing. We're going to put it wherever I want it. We're not going to just go by that. I will probably make these... fix the tucks on this so that I don't have to do this every time, because I do like to pleat, but once I've sewn it a few times, I'm going to fix it. Fix it meaning like, not as it's broken, fix it, meaning make it stick. Fixed. Like fixed in place. Ooh, that's not very much right there. 3 more? That's awesome. Your weather is perfect for year-round Fairfields. The other one I make for him, like for summer months, is the tropical shirt. It's like a camp style shirt. Oops, I just was trying to turn the wrong side. Yep, exactly. I mean, once you don't have to figure anything out on it, unless you're just like up for the adventure of sewing things, that's a totally different reason, I think. You know, but when you're, it's, you know, you're getting use out of it. Like you need the shirts. It's kind of nice when you find the one you like, or one or two, you know. That's awesome, Monica. I think it's a good one. I wish they'd fix the printing of the pattern, but I love it too. I've made them for my dad and my brother and Michael. So I have 3 printed. It's so nice to still feel full from lunch at this hour. Like normally, if we were still streaming right now, there's no way, right? If we had started on time. But I had time to eat lunch. And I had my afternoon, like, coffee and treat at the same time. Like, I did it all in a half hour. I just mean, like, the way the pattern is printed, you've heard me complain about this, Amy, where you have to just the fronts you put face down. That is so weird to me. Like, you don't have to put any other pattern pieces, but the fronts face down. And most people, when they make a button-up shirt like that, I'm going to guess half the time they're matching plaid or something. And so to ask someone to cut it face down is diabolical, to be honest. And I have messed up so many shirts. And thankfully I had the fabric to replace the one front, because then I could trim one front down to be the flip of it. So when they had that update a couple summers ago, I was so excited, and they didn't even touch that. I was like, what the heck? Because it looks like an error. I'm sure it's not, but I don't know. You eating lunch right now? Yeah, dunch. Yeah, right, Derek? Exactly. I know. I mean, we've all seen me do it wrong. Okay, place your bets. Am I going to run out of bobbin on my last seam? I think I am. I've been working a lot lately, but when I'm not like having something like an obligation work-wise, you know, like where I have to do something at a certain time, I've been not working. Like I've been like, oh, I'm going to move into the cottage. I'm going to work on this sewing project for me. It's such a weird mind shift, but I'm trying to be like, you know what? No one told you had to do this. Oof, that was close. A little too close on the edge, probably. Get all these out of the way. I don't know why I spend so much time pinning. Because then I just take them out at the end anyway. I like it loose. I like to tuck with my finger, like this. Okay. Everything shows up on this fabric. We done. It's going to be a little big because I ironed it. But let's check it out. Yeah, I do on things like that. How many bobbins does that make for this project? Well, that's the thing, is like I'm only on my second one. That's why I thought it guaranteed I would run out. You know? Yeah, Amy, it's just interesting because you cut the fronts face down, and if you don't, then you have the left front on the left and the right front on the right. Oh, was my microphone okay? Okay, way over there today? That's so weird. This shirt, I'm not, look at how big it got. Look at my dart is way down here now. What the heck? I drafted, or I fixed it like this. Oh my gosh, where is it? Oh, here it is, okay. It looks kind of big, huh? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to not bonk that. I think the hem hangs a lot nicer. So once I wash it, it'll shrink up a little bit to that unironed state, and I think that'll be better. Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Yeah, exactly, Susan. Yeah, I've been trying to pick some colors that were more appropriate for me. So tell me what you guys think about snap color. The bang thing. Whew. Okay. It has a kind of, this fabric gives it sort of a work shirt kind of vibe, especially on camera. Not so much in person. I don't know, maybe it does. Do you guys regret the non-contrast top stitching? Or do you guys think this was the way to go? Okay. In my head, I think these are going to be the best, the gunmetal. So sorry, I have to chew gum too. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys like the cut thread color. I think it works. So these look like this, you know? So I have those. And I think these don't work at all, but let's see. First one, gunmetal, all right? This one's antique brass. Oh, I don't like this. They look like this. They're a little too yellow. I feel like none of them are like catching the light, so you can kind of see what they look like. I think this could have worked if I had used a very strong cream top stitch thread, you know? Okay. I also have like silver, like, you know, shiny silver. I have black. I don't think I want black though. Like, just personally, I'm not. Although. And then we have copper, which I just don't think is the right tone. You'd use brass on everything. I love antique brass. That's why I only bought that and the gunmetal. I totally agree. I use it on like almost every shirt I make. But here it looks really yellow. I don't know how to just say it, but this looks kind of, it looks okay. This could work. Silver. Silver or brass? Really? Okay. Yeah, the black was too contrast for me as well. You think so, Elena? I put a pearl snaps on my last one. This is the gunmetal and the silver side by side. I'm trying to catch the light equally for both. The pearl, and we can see how it looks on here. I think my problem with the pearl is I've been using it a lot lately, and it's really bright on here. So, because I love pearl. Like, I put pearl in every blouse. Yeah, I actually, like, Elena has a good point. Like, I think pearl snaps look more shirt-like. Oh, you guys are really going for the pearl. Pearl. Oh, wait, Monica voted twice there. I don't even have the pearl in here. Yeah, the gunmetal for me is the same color depth of the shirt, whereas this is more shine. It's more bright, you know. Like I see what you mean. This works, but it looks more utilitarian. Imagine if there was like a gray pearl snap. Oh, I think a gray pearl, like what's that called? Isn't there some sort of gray pearl? Yeah, exactly, Elizabeth, exactly. That's a good way to put it. We can do pearl. I'm down. It's going to be fiddlier, I think, because I have to hold the snaps. I'm a little nervous about that part. Okay, this is the antique brass, which I've already used a fair bit of. And the gunmetal. I've used both of these a fair bit now. I like them. All right, so the right choice was picking something that was compatible with my new snap machine, which you didn't, but that's okay. We'll get there. We're going to make it work. Yeah, like smoke, exactly. Like the, is it, what's that called? Oh, like, the black pearls. Oh, really, Adina? That's a bummer, because it is hard to find once you like something. All right, let's mark the snaps, and then I'll go get them in the next room. I'm going to do it here. I was thinking, like, wasn't there, like, a black pearl? What was it called? Is that what it's called, maybe? Ooh, my phone is low power mode. It's been on all day with the chat. Abalone. Abalone has a lot of color in it. No, there's the kind of pearls that are dark. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be. Oh, they do? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I didn't know that. What the heck? I'm about to use the white ones. Let me go get them. I have to go to the other room. Get them in here. Oh, it's so much cooler out here. What the heck? Okay. No, like there are oysters make a pearl, a white pearl, and then they make a gray pearl. Come on, haven't you guys ever been to the Queen Mary and seen the oyster diving show? Or is that just a Southern California, I grew up in Southern California thing? That's about right. 2 3/4. It depends on how much hem do I want unsnapped, you know? Maybe like that would be a little better. Oh man, I'm already too thick for this. Okay. Now, the tricky part, the holes. The one thing, wait, what happened? Oh, did it freeze? Oh. How weird. We had a hiccup? I'm sorry, I didn't even notice. Thought you guys were just quiet. Okay. Oh my gosh, my battery is low. Okay, now I can go. All right, so let's see. I need a big, longer ruler here. I brought one in the other day. Here it is. Okay. The one thing I find with snaps, the reason to do snaps is because they're faster and easier, right? We're going to have a whole shirt done. We won't have to sew buttons or buttonholes, right? That's the benefit of it. And one thing that I think makes it much faster is if you cut the hole for the snap for both sides at the same time. That way you're 100% sure it's going to be lined up. But to do that with the snap press, you kind of need to do it incrementally as you go. My placket match is like, okay. So we're going to line this up here. We're going to pin in between each mark, and that's why I put the ruler underneath so I have something to pin against, like this. Did my phone just die? Ooh, I do see it spinning. Is it okay? Yeah, we're going to use the new press. Did something, what am I doing that makes it seem like I'm not? I'm just kind of curious. Like, I am going to use the new press, and I'm going to use my pearl buttons, but they're not the ones that come with this die, so it'll be a little fiddlier than it should be because I'm still trying to use up my old snaps, you know? All right, now we have our front pinned. Seems okay? Oh, okay. I don't know why it was spinning on my screen. So now we're going to put in the die to cut a hole. So don't skip this if you buy a press. Personally, I think this hole cutter is worth a lot. All right, so, but mine, I think, I need to tell them I think mine is a little bit flawed because my little holes are getting stuck in here. They're not coming out right here. See how there's like, they're not coming out. All right, so put the die here. I'm still learning to use this, by the way. I think my phone may have died. Oh no, it didn't. I need chat. Well, really? Because my paper one doesn't do that. Okay. So now I'm going to cut these holes. So I've lined up my placket, and I'm going to cut both sides. Oh, wait. We're doing... Whew! We're doing pearl snaps. You don't cut holes for that. Holy. I mean, you could. There's no reason to. Maybe that's why Martina asked that. But you do want to have some lining, like line up somehow. So I'm going to stick my awl through like this and hope that that little hole stays. Maybe I'll put this on the other camera so I can see you guys too. I'm putting my pin in the hole. This placket, this side, this placket's a little narrower, so they're really close to the edge. This is what I think is the trickiest part about snaps is when you do one side, then trying to line it up to your already done snap is pretty tricky because it's like chunkier. Okay. The green machine. I don't know, this feels different though. Like I've used other dyes before. I think there's a burr inside of it. You know what I mean? Like I can't even get one of the cuts out sometimes. The blue machine is for covered buttons. It's not just different dyes. I'm gonna put these in here. Okay. So we'll do the pearl first, I think. Sorry. What am I? I'm looking for this. We'll start at the bottom, the low risk area. All right, so we need to put the top dye in first, and that is this one here, I'm pretty sure, right? Let me go get my cheat. Oh, here it is, right here. They give you, this is your cheat sheet that they give you. It's kind of a bad angle, huh? Can I do this? Sorry. Just close your eyes for a second. How about that? I can't get the camera any lower. That's not bad. That's actually not bad. I'm surprised. Okay. Right here. This goes to down here. Okay. This goes to this and this. This goes to this. This goes to this. And then this goes with these. All right. Let's hope I got that right. Snap cam. Exactly. I always put this one in last because I have trouble screwing this in sometimes when I already have. The video I saw, there was a little vinyl or Teflon insert inside here. And mine doesn't have that. So this die is, I think, for it says 12 millimeter, but my snaps are 18 millimeter. So okay, so we got to, I'm going to put the snap Yeah, there you go, Amy. Yeah, exactly. Cam, snap, snap, cam. Can't really see what I'm doing though, can you? All right, so I'm putting, I'm, this is new to me. I've never done ring snaps and pearl ring snaps on a snap press, so you have to bear with me. And because this isn't the dies that go with these particular ones, I'm still learning. I think this goes down, centered. See, I want to just put this in here, but it just won't stay because it's not the right size. So that's why I have to hold it, and that's why it's dicey. There we go. Yeah. I usually have my little cups out so I can put a few things on the table. Because you have to do this upside down. I'm not sure what the best way to do this unless you marked the back of the garment. That's why I keep doing that. This one doesn't feel right. There we go. Yeah, it works so nice, right? It's like you barely push it at all. It's just because I can't stick this side. Is it back? That probably means my battery might die soon. I have a little more on this one. Yeah, okay, cool. It's just because my battery used to last 7 hours and it just doesn't anymore. It's been on a while. Okay, we just have one more, I think, right? 2 more. All right. Oh yeah, so I was showing you the difference between these two. This is the thing that confused me the most about these, is that it's been a day for technology, yeah. So one side is slightly raised, very barely. It's the side with my thumb. You can kind of see it, right? That side goes toward the prongs. And it took a lot of brain effort to understand that drawing, to see that that's what it is. But there are these little, like, I want to call them like they clipped the curve. So that side goes up. I really pushed the fabric on there too. The less work it has to do, I feel like the better. Okay. This one's kind of on some seam allowance, hopefully it won't hurt it. All right, not a single cracked one. All right, and then this one goes on the bottom. And it is the ring. This time we do it right side up. I don't think so. I think it's the other side. The smooth, the nice, the right side. It's the clipped curve that is facing up. Yes, like butter, exactly. All right, so now we're gonna put these away before we have a catastrophe, and our die goes in here. All right, and we need these two. All right, and it goes, the top one is this. And this is the bottom one, the ring. I watched a video on, you know, like I was telling you guys when I was sitting there in the parking lot waiting for Michael on snaps, installing snaps, and it was a little like, whew, can you please edit this, you know? But I feel like that's where you guys are at right now, so I should not be judging those folks. All right, so again, we're kind of on the wrong side for marking. Oops, it just fell out. I'm gonna center this a little better than that, in the middle of this placket. This one goes here. Can we? No, we can't, can we? Right, this is how this goes, right? This goes here. And then this one would go inside here and hold it. We'll try that. Let's try it. No, it didn't work. I probably shouldn't have shoved it in there. I'm going to take it out just to make sure I can get it out here. There we go, that little guy. Where was the one I just used? Let's do these, throw those away. All right. You guys really don't have to stay if you don't want. Okay. So the prong goes on this side. Right? Yep. It kind of takes it off the shirt when I do that. There we go. Okay, once I get on there, I'm going to hold the shirt there. Position this on top. Ooh, that one didn't feel as good. I did it though. Okay, we're there. Phew. 1:30. Oh my goodness. You can just see the finished photo tomorrow. I've been kind of just gently setting this one on top. That way, I'm hoping it'll sort of like shift it around a little. You know, sometimes you just got to let it find its spot. Three more, you guys. Early bird dinner. Yeah, my parents eat at like 4. They eat lunch. They only eat 2 meals a day. It's their preference. I like the priority because it's like they like having dessert every night. And it's really funny because when we are over, our dog likes to eat at 6 p.m. Well, he'd eat any time of day, let's face it. But their dog is on the early bird special. And so he's like this really big dog, and he's like, it's 4 o'clock. We're supposed to be eating dinner now. It's really funny. I wish more places were open till like 4, these like places that close because they only do lunch, because I would totally be there for lunch pretty often. I keep checking for extra prongs. I haven't found any, like poking on the outsides of my thing, my snap, thankfully. All right. Let's just get this and this. And let's see how they line up. At least with ring snaps, you can prime off and then reposition and put a new one on. Can't reuse it, but Oh, the cuffs. I had forgotten about the cuffs. Oh, you mean like a sewing pattern, or when you like bought a shirt and it didn't have buttons? Thank you, Amy. Let's see. It's a really big cuff. Whew. Let's cinch it up a little bit. It'll shrink a little once it's washed too. Oh, a sewing pattern. Okay. Well, you know. I'm glad you didn't buy a shirt and then you're like, there's oh, yeah, exactly. Elizabeth reminded you. I was so excited to be done. Yes, I did just eyeball that. I'm just gonna do these after the stream because I have to change the dies out and everything. The stream's so long. But let's just check my spacing though and how it looks, since you guys were really into the purl snaps. I have found that when you snap it, you should always snap it up before you put everything away. Because if there's like one snap that's sort of like soft. Yeah, I get what you mean, Elizabeth. I mean, that is a bummer. But I'm really glad it wasn't like a store-bought shirt and you didn't have any buttons to sew on. That actually worked out pretty good. But yeah, check your snaps first so that you don't put everything away. And then there's like one that's like, you know, kind of funky, you know, and you already have everything out. You can just put it through the press again, push it a little bit. Let's see. I can't wait to wash it. I meant to tell my husband not to do the whatever load this would go in so that I could shrink it up a little bit. But yeah, you like the purl? There it is. I'm just trying to find the camera. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. Yeah. I think it's just the thickness there. I thought it was like sagging. It could be sagging down actually. Yeah. Julie, you're still awake? Holy! Pearl is always such a good choice. Oh, let's see the pleat in the back. Yay. All right, well, we made it. What a slog of a sew, though, man. Oh, you're coughing. You don't think so? You know, honestly, when it's buttoned shut, it does kind of like cover it up. You're right, Martina. Maybe I'll just wash it and see how it looks afterward, because it might just sort of blend in. I do not like this backdrop color-wise. I don't know why. It feels really big right now because I don't have my cuffs done. But once I do the cuffs, and I'll do those right now, put the dye back in and do it. Thanks for reminding me. I would remember since I tried it on too. So, well, thanks for sticking with me, you guys. It's a great project, and hopefully you don't make any of the errors I did, so yours is smoother. I made them for you. Anyway, and if you're at social tomorrow, you're in the guild and you go to the Zoom tomorrow, I'll probably be there. And workshops next week if you're a guildie. So next month I'm streaming a garment duffel. It's a garment bag that turns into a duffel bag, and the pattern's by Caden Naughton on Etsy. just message me if you want to know more about that. And that'll be really interesting. I think Terry's making it too. So it's definitely a kind of a cool pattern I just want to sew. But there's also a free pattern by Friday Pattern Company that does something similar, right? It might do something similar. So anyway. Thanks for coming, you guys. And thanks for showing up even though the stream wouldn't start for 2 hours today. I'll see you guys next month, live streams, and in the guild a lot. So, okay, I don't know where anything is anywhere. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay, bye.